4, 3, 2, 1. And welcome to the first edition of the Brother to Brother podcast. I am glad to be joined with my brother from the same mother, Coach Robbie Preston, a guy you guys all know is one of the top offensive minds in the nation. This guy should be coaching in the NFL, but he loves the kids. Coach Preston love the kids. Coach Preston, how are you, man? And what's going on, my brother from the same mother? How are you today on this first episode of Brother to Brother?
I'm doing great, man. Excited about the new podcast. Excited to be on with my big brother, Coach P, talking about what's going on in the world with all the listeners out there. I'm excited. I'm pumped. Let's go.
Absolutely. Now, this show is going to be a little bit different. If you're listening to this show and you're a listener to some of the other stuff that we do that's all about the kids, and you know Coach P's, the two P's in the pod, man, we love the kids. But this is going to be a little bit more grown up. We are going to talk a little bit of youth stuff, a little bit of college stuff, a little bit of basketball, baseball, lingerie, all that other good stuff. We out there, we're going to help brothers be better brothers to one another and be better coaches and players and all that other good stuff. So we're going to start right off with, Coach, what do you think, or what's up with you? I'm sorry. That's going to be our first segment, what's up with you? And, I mean, this is the deal, man. It's just time to, really talk about what's going on in your life, Coach, what you got going on with Eastern. I'll do the same. We're going to start up with you. Coach P, what's up with you?
Well, man, right now I'm really getting on this health kick. I've gained a few pounds over the years, so I'm trying hard to get this weight off me. And one of the things I started doing, Warren, is I went out and I bought a bike. Me and my wife are like, we're going to get healthy and we're going to start by just going for bike rides. Let me tell you something, man. We rode the bike from the Walmart, which is maybe about 6 blocks from the house. We rode it from the Walmart where we got the bikes to home, and by the time I got home, man, I felt like I was about to pass out. Chest was hurting, legs was burning. I'm sweating like crazy. You know what I mean? So,
Coach, I could imagine. I mean, I myself have just gotten back into it, into the gym, right now. So, man, I feel you. It's been about a month and a half, and the body is aching. These old bones, these old knees, Coach, ain't what they used to be. You know what I mean?
Right. And that's how I feel. And look, when we first talked about doing it, and I'm like, okay, I'm excited. I get on the bike. I'm like, let's get it in. Man, I'm going to tell you something, man. I did not know it was that. I be seeing the kids riding the bikes around the city from one part of the city to the other. Listen, I have to take it slow. I'm going to ride a few blocks every day, try and get the cardio up, trying to get everything back in order. But, man, it's murder, man. It truly is a great workout. I burn a lot of calories, man. I think maybe in a few months I'm going to be back to my high school weight. You know what I mean?
I heard that.
Be ready to put it back on. You hear me?
I heard that, man. Well, shoot. I'm a long way from my high school weight, but I'm going to keep it pushing anyway. I mean, for me, Coach, I'm just trying to get sexy on them right now. You know what I'm saying? Right. I'm really trying to get sexy on them right now for the summer, for this nice California summer and all the stuff that we got going on with NSR, doing the camps and stuff like that, clinics, those type of things. And for me, man, I really just want to be in the best shape that I can be, when I put my NSR shirt on. So that's what I'm about right now, trying to sexify my situation. You understand what I'm saying? That's basically, yeah, try to sexify that thing, man. I mean, it's like you tried to, to maintain your sexy. If you lost it, you trying to get it back. You understand? But the whole process is called sexification, okay?
Oh, yeah, I like that. That's what I'm trying to do, too.
Try to sexify your situation. I get it.
That's it. Hey, look, but we can't hurt them too bad. We got that Preston Magic going on now.
Oh, and that Preston Magic is a beast. You understand what I'm saying? They don't call us the big brothers for nothing, okay? But I digress, man. You know what? And before we move on, I'll tell you what's up with me. NSR got a lot of stuff going on. And if you've been under a rock, we have merged, or we have formed a partnership, not merged rather, but formed a partnership with Generation Next. Shout out to Jonah and all those guys with Generation Next. That's really going to revolutionize the way young people experience the game of football, the fans. We're bringing in television with our United ranking system and all that other good stuff. Please, if you are a football team or coach and you think you need to be ranked, man, hit us up at nsrfootball.com. And don't be a dumb man. Let's get this thing absolutely popping all the way off the way it needs to be popping off. So, I mean, that's what's up with you, and that's what's up with me. And we got a great show, so don't go anywhere. We're going to take a quick break. You're listening to the Brother to Brother podcast, and guess where it is? On the NSR Sports Network. Don't go anywhere.
Looking for football news at every level? Then look no further. The National Sports Report and NSRFootball.com are proud to present NSR Sports Radio. Join your host, Coach P, as we break down the trending topics in the NFL, the NCAA, high school football, youth football, and beyond. Also joining us are former NFL quarterback Achilles Smith and Coach David Riley in our Ask the Duck segment. These two guys have over 25 years of football experience, and they are waiting to share it with you. Join all the action every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, only on the National Sports Report. Football news at every level.
You said keep it PG-13? Okay, I got you. Yowza. Put Voice Sports up in your internet browser as Voice Sports Radio comes to you every Thursday night right here on the National Sports Report. That's right. Don't forget to download the podcast at www.nsrfootball.com. Call in tonight. That's right. 646-668-2526. Be a part of the hotline bling. Let's go.
Yes, and you are listening to the Brother to Brother podcast. You are on with myself, Coach Warren Preston, and the great Coach Robbie Preston, the brothers from the same mother, on the Brother to Brother podcast. And we're about to go around the world. And the first thing that we're going to talk about in the Around the World segment is, and Coach, you were the one that brought this story to my attention, really, about the young man. Sorry about that. If you were listening to that, we just broke into a commercial. At least it sounded like a commercial. Sorry about that. I'm going to have to shoot my producer. But my producer is me. So if that went over your head, don't worry about it. But anyway, Coach Preston, you broke a story earlier about a young man in Florida. And we talk about this social media thing all the time, how, it's ruining relationships of every kind. Talk about that story that you broke about the guy out of Florida, the young man out of Florida.
Yeah, so there's a young man in Florida. He's a running back. He's rated one of the top running backs in Florida. And they had a young lady at school had sex. I think they said it was like with 20 different young men. And he recorded it and posted it on social media. Because of that, he was charged. He was found guilty. He was sentenced to do like 21 days on house arrest and some other things like that. But the biggest thing is that he's gone from one of the top running backs in what some people consider the largest state for high school football to now a young man that no one wants to talk to, all because he made the decision not just to record it or to be a part of something like that, but then to go on and post it on social media. So this young man really has ruined his life in what potentially was just a few minutes of time, and we talked about it on the NSR Sports Report that these kids have to start thinking before they press send. They have to make better decisions when it comes to this social media thing. It's really, really hurting these young men. It's really, really, it's almost like a whole bunch of access with no wisdom.
Absolutely, and you mentioned that, and there was we put out a great piece written by my brother from the same mother called "Don't Press Sin." That's the article that he's referring to. Please hit us up at nsrfootball.com and check that article out. But you're right. I mean, with social media and things the way that they are right now, particularly if you do have any type of fame, and a lot of these young men, particularly the ones playing football and playing sports, they have a lot of fame, Coach. They can't do the same things that these other guys do. They're going to always be held to a higher standard. And when I saw this, I was appalled because, hey, this is a young lady that, this young man did what he did. According to the reports, there were up to 25 guys that she ended up ultimately having some sort of sexual act or something like that being done on her. Of course, like you said, the young man was charged, and now his future is pretty much hurt. I mean, what if they decide to charge this young man as a sex offender? That's going to be something that follows him for the rest of his life. A problem that he had or a situation that he had when he was just 16 years old is something that could scar his reputation, if you will, so to speak, for the rest of his life, Coach. That's the part that really hurts me. Go ahead, Coach.
Yeah, and I was going to say, just to echo that thought, we give these young people all this access when it comes to social media and things like that, but they don't have the wisdom, and I say it all the time when I'm talking to the parents of the kids that I coach. We try and say, well, I want my child to have privacy. I tell them, listen, your child can have a certain level of privacy, but you need to be monitoring what they're doing because, again, they don't understand the ramifications of everything that they do. He didn't understand the ramifications of, one, being in a place where that was going on, where there were a group of young men, even if she was a willing participant, he still didn't need to be there, number one. Number two, it's something that you don't record. And number three, you definitely don't put something like that on social media. But this is, again, him having the freedom and not the proper guidance, and I don't want to jump on this young man's parents. We don't know him. They may be doing the best they can to guide him and to support him and all those things. But just a word to the wise to parents, we have to really be careful with how much freedom and what we allow our kids to do and be a part of, and making sure that we have conversations with them before it gets to this point. Having conversations with them about using social media, about being aware of where they are, who they're with, and what they're doing.
I mean, I couldn't have said that any better. I mean, and we're both parents, parents of teenage sons. We're both fathers to daughters. So that's the other side of that, as a parent, right. When you hear something like this and the gory details are out there about your little girl, I mean, from that kind of standpoint is so many people were damaged by this situation. I mean, set aside the social media side of it, the thing that this young man did and was foolish enough to put it on his social media for the world to see, like this is something to be proud of, and that takes me, not to get too off, but, back to the social responsibility that a lot of our artists and a lot of other black celebrities and people with some sort of influence, the sense of responsibility that they have. I mean, this is what's cool. I mean, you think about that. What's cool in the song is not to love a woman, not to treat them with any respect. So, I mean, when that stuff is glorified and then you have a young man who's living the dream, football star, his idols are these guys. And like you said, there's no guidance. There's no one to say, hey, that stuff is just make believe. These are some of the things that happen with that. So again, I don't like to get too big on my soapbox, but I also like to go into or delve into the bigger picture. And the bigger picture is the societal thing that would make a young man, or that would make a young man think it's okay to do this horrible act with a defenseless young lady. And from all accounts, I believe she was a special ed student or something like that. I believe I read something like that. So that makes this even more egregious, that they took advantage of this young lady in this way and then did something like that and thought it was cool. and then was stupid enough to put it on Facebook and social media like, hey, look at us, this what we doing. So, I mean, I'm going to look at the other side of this, though, and slow down and change gears. The girl was 15, the boy was 16. Does that make a difference in your eyes?
To me it doesn't. I always try and tell myself, and also impart this again to my players. I try and tell them, you have to be mindful of what you do to the point where if your grandma or someone that it truly matters to you what they think of you, you have to think about what they would say in this act. To me, the fact that he's 16, she's 15, they're close in age, I don't think that matters. I think that the fact that it was a group of them, again, even if she was a willing participant, to me, I think that some of those young men, what he should have said to himself is, I'm not trying to be a part of this. I'm not with this. And that's why I always tell them, think of that person who you care what that person thinks about you. You care what they say about you. Their opinion matters. What would they say if they knew, like you said, forget social media, forget posting. What would grandma say if she knew that you were in the room participating in an act like that? What would granddad say? What would dad say? What would mom say if they knew? And we always try and say, well, what if that was your sister? I'll say that sometimes it's difficult to say, what if that was your sister? Would you want somebody to do that to your sister? Because the kids will always argue, my sister wouldn't be in that situation. My sister wouldn't do that. So I'm not going to throw that out to them, but I am going to throw out to them, maybe not if that was your sister, but what would your sister say if she knew that you were doing that? You see what I'm saying? Like, that's what I think these kids, these young men have to sometimes think about. Is this something that I would want someone I care about to know that I was being a part of?
The problem goes back to, like you said before, and you mentioned this very astutely, the lack of leadership, the lack of guidance. You mentioned, would this be something your mom would be proud of, sister, and that type of stuff. A lot of these young men, and we'll look at it, that background of the young man, and I don't know what his background is, but I would be willing to bet that there is a lack of strong male role models in the picture,
right.
And I think a act like this, it really defines that, or really hits the hammer home that is the case, because I just couldn't see you being, a great athlete like that with a prevalent male role model in your life, and you would think that that's cool. You think that that's okay to do. So in my opinion, I just think that there's a lack of that in the home, and that's what you get when that happens. You get, chaos. Go ahead.
And I was going to ask this question because I get this question all the time posed to me as a coach. Where's the coach influence? We coach and we work in a sport where so many of these young men, especially, if you're coaching, and I'm not going to say just in the inner city because it happens really no matter where you coach.
Right.
But you deal with young men that don't have male role models. So you as a coach, especially on the high school and even college level, you as a coach, you're that male role model.
Right.
So that's why I also feel that these are discussions that we need to have as coaches. I try to, at Eastern, what we try and do is when our 8th graders come in as rising 9th graders, we want to sit them down and we talk to them about what they need to expect, the things that are going to happen as far as, dealing with the young ladies. Some of them we have to talk about dealing with the attention of being that quote-unquote superstar athlete and what's going to happen. You have to, as coaches, also understand that these young men are in a situation that is new to them to some extent. They're in a situation where, like you said, Coach, they don't have the guidance at home. So you have to make sure you have those conversations with them, too, as a coach. You have to be that male role model, and you have to be that one that they think of. What would Coach say if he knew that I was in here doing this right now?
Absolutely. And on that note, we're going to take another quick break. You're listening to the Brother to Brother podcast. Guys, don't go anywhere. We got a lot of great insight by the two brothers from the same mother, Coach Preston, Coach Robbie, and Coach Warren. We will be right back. Please, guys, don't go anywhere. You're going to be missing a treat if you do.
Hi, my name is Tony Schuster, founder of SportsRevolution.com. At Sports Revolution, our mission is to help be the catalyst for healthy, positive change in today's youth sport culture. Sports Revolution utilizes all types of technology, resources, and strategic partnerships to achieve a happier, healthier, and more competitive youth sports climate. If you're a parent, coach, or league administrator, do yourself a favor and please check out SportsRevolution.com.
Coach Lombardi, Coach Shula, Coach Landry, Coach Dave. Great coaches make us better players and better people. To become a better coach, visit usafootball.com, the official youth football partner of the NFL.
Every day I'm hustling.
And welcome back. Welcome back to the Brother to Brother podcast. I am your host, a part of the duo that is your host, Coach P, Coach Preston, Coach Warren Preston. That's right. And I'm joined by my brother, Coach Robbie Preston, on this great podcast. So happy to be doing this podcast. And again, if you want to see us, we're going to be Tuesdays on the NSR Sports Network. You can find all of our podcasts at www.nsrfootball.com. Again, that's www.nsrfootball.com. So we're going to jump right back into it. We're going to talk about sports, what's going on around the world of sports. As you know, the NBA has reached its pinnacle. We now have the two teams that are going to be in the finals. Golden State and Cleveland will be playing for a title. That's LeBron versus Curry. Before we move on, we're just going to get our picks on that, and then I'll let you go first, Coach. Who you like in the finals, Coach?
Hey, I really want to see Curry do it. You know, I'm not a huge LeBron fan, but I'm going to be honest with you. I think the Cavaliers and LeBron, I think they're going to do it maybe in about 6 games.
Yeah, Coach. I mean, for me, I am a huge LeBron fan. I would really love to see LeBron win it. You know, I'm really kind of tired of hearing the nonsense, you know, guys talking about what LeBron hasn't done, what LeBron can't do, so forth and so on. So, I would like to see it happen. I think the guy is one of the best basketball players that's ever lived, and I'd like to see him win this thing today. I really wanted to see OKC get it done, but OKC could not get it done. So, you know, that is the deal. You know, they really coughed this thing up, in my opinion. I think they had a great opportunity to make something happen, and they did not take advantage of it. I really don't think they did. So that's kind of how, you know, I see it. I would really love to see LeBron win this thing. I think they got an opportunity to win this thing. They almost won it last year without the other guys, Love and Kyrie Irving. So I think they can pull it off, you know, this year. So we'll see. Elsewhere, going around the world of sports, football season is right around the corner, Coach. Tell me some of those interesting things. What stood out to you in this off season? And go as far back in the off season as you want. What really stood out to you in this off season?
Well, I'm gonna first say this because I'm in DC now. I hate the Redskins. I hate the Redskins. But I'll say this: the city is really jumping about Vernon Davis. He got signed to the Redskins. He's coming home, and the city is really excited about that. Now, I know that Vernon has lost a step. He's not the Vernon that he was, back in the day. But I really see an energy around the Redskins about him coming back home. And for those listeners that don't know, Vernon Davis is from D.C. He graduated from Dunbar High School in Northwest. Along him and his brother Vontae, who's playing for the Colts right now.
Right.
But the city they're so excited. I want them to tell you this, man. They're so excited about him coming home that it's sickening. That's all anyone's talking about. People are like, oh, man, I can't wait to get the Vernon Davis jersey. So that's something that really stood out to me. I don't know if that energy from the fans with him coming home is going to make a difference as far as his performance on the field, which I think will help them on the field, them being able to do some two tight end stuff with him. But that's something that stood out to me. And, of course, what Jacksonville did in the draft, the moves they made in the draft, really, really special. Like, Jacksonville, to me, is a completely different team now. And a team that, in my opinion, people need to pay attention to, and he may do some things to some teams this year, like Jacksonville is doing it.
I agree, and that was one of the things too. I mean, you took one of mine, Jacksonville. I think Jacksonville is going to shock some people, and if that division doesn't get it together, I mean, when you look at the quarterback situation in that division, obviously Andrew Luck stands out. But outside of that, Jacksonville is as good as anybody else in that division, and I think that they will be able to really, really make some noise. For me also, the Cowboys picking up Zeke Elliott. We talked about that on the National Sports Report. Zeke Elliott, I think, will be a big asset to the Dallas Cowboys. And I think one thing that impressed me about it, and guys, I know we talking about the draft on the Brother to Brother podcast like it's new information, but hey, we just joining you, and we got to get our 2 cents in about the draft. But at any rate, the biggest thing for me with the Cowboys was I was glad that when San Diego got Bosa, that we didn't try to reach. We stuck to our guns, and we got the best guy on the board. To me, that shows growth by Jerry Jones and the Cowboys management, and I was definitely impressed with what they did there. So those were some of the things that have stuck out. Outside of that, the Eagles quarterback in his situation, wanting to be traded, wanting to get out of it after they paid him $22 million guaranteed. We all know that the Eagles went up and got Carson Wentz, number 2 overall, which I thought was a bad move, considering that I just don't think that any of these guys were worth giving away your whole draft to do anything for, in my opinion. What's your thoughts on that, Coach?
Yeah, I was going to say, I really, really like Wentz. I think that he's going to be a very good player. He's going to have a very good NFL career, and he's going to be a starter in the NFL. That being said, I totally agree. I think that it was too much to jump up and get him. And I do not think that Sam Bradford should have handled his business the way he did. Now, just playing a little bit of devil's advocate or whatever, I understand it to the extent of, you don't know what the conversation was. Everyone says the contract should have told them what their mindset was.
Right.
I agree with that. But let's say the conversation was, listen, we're going to give you this 2-year deal. You do what you're supposed to do, and you'll be our guy. We'll give you another deal once the 2 years are up, or after we see how it go this year, we'll extend the deal. You don't know how that conversation went. And then for them to jump up, he was like, oh, so you're telling me that it's possible I'm going to do 1 year and this guy's going to jump in, or maybe half a season and this guy jumps in. So I understand that. I think it raised a lot of other conversations and issues about, just young men being willing to compete and fight for jobs. But, I don't know that I'm completely against Bradford, even though I do agree that if they gave you a 2-year deal, they let you know that we don't see you for long term. Yeah. We see you as a stopgap.
Now, reportedly, the Eagles offered him a long-term deal that he turned down. He opted to bet on himself. He took the money instead of taking the long-term deal. And I just believe the reason why they did that was because they were not completely sold on this kid. So if you're not sold on him, you understand what I'm saying? If you're not sold on him, what are we doing here? Right?
I agree. I think that it's a real difficult situation because they gave up a lot for Wentz. And what's going to happen is, I think that the pressure to play him, especially if let's be real, I like Sam Bradford, but Sam Bradford has not done anything in this league to make you think he's the guy. He hasn't done it. So if he struggles early, and we're talking about in an NFC East division that is very hard, very difficult, that every team in the NFC East has gotten better, he may struggle coming out the gate. And if that happens, you're going to have to put the young boy in because you drafted him so high and gave up so much for him. So I think the Eagles put themselves in a position where they're going to have to answer a lot of questions. I think, and they set themselves up for some potential distractions down the road. So I don't know that if any of those moves were smart moves.
Right.
To give him that contract, to trade up like that, I don't think they're making smart moves right now.
Scale to 1 to 10. How likely is it that Carson Wentz plays by week 8?
Now, I'd give it like a 9. Being real with you, I really can see that. I can really see Bradford struggling. I really see them getting pressure, and I really see that boy in the starting lineup really before weekend. I'd say probably week 5.
The only reason why I would say it's probably going to be after week 8 is because they're going to give Sam Bradford an opportunity to be the starter for the whole year and see what he can do, just because of the money that they did pay him over the 2 years. It really gives you an opportunity not to rush the young quarterbacks. You don't have to. The problem, like you said, is going to be the fans. Let him go in there and throw an interception. The fans are going to want blood. They're going to want this guy removed and them to put their $1 million man in there. So it really just is what it is. I feel him when he says that he's in a no-win situation, and he probably is. But I just think he handled it wrong. And for me, I would not have done that, being a team guy and being the quarterback, being the leader, a guy that everyone is going to be looking to be the man. I just thought it was kind of tacky, and we'll see. Time will tell what happens in that situation. Another thing around the league, the Baltimore Ravens gave Ray Rice an opportunity. Again, they brought him in to speak to their rookie class about the importance of making good decisions. How do you feel about that? Do you think that is a good enough second chance, or should he be playing football right now?
I think that he should be playing football right now. I know he was a lot of people are saying that it happened at a time when he was kind of getting old in his career. He plays running back. It's one of those positions where people are saying that, they're more expendable. You can find another running back. But I think he should be playing. I think the situation, his wife stuck with him. He admitted the mistake. And that's the thing that I always felt with Ray Rice is he never came out and said, no, it didn't happen this way. No, I'm innocent. No, understand. He didn't make any excuses. He admitted it. He owned it. He went through the proper steps of getting counseling. He's married to the young lady that he had the incident with. So I think he deserves a shot to run the ball again, to play again. That being said, I think the Ravens made a very good choice in having him come in and speak to the rookies, because his story, the lesson behind what happened to him, is so valuable. And I think that it's going to help some of those young rookies to make better decisions.
I agree. I agree. I really believe, and I hoped last year that the Cowboys would actually give him an opportunity. I think that Ray Rice can still play. I think he deserves an opportunity to play. However, if the roles was reversed, if Adrian Peterson had done what Ray Rice had done, would he be playing?
Yes. I think he would.
No question. No question in my mind. He would be playing. Yeah. He would be playing, and he would have been playing early. No, here's the only problem that I have with the argument that people make about Ray Rice not or being on the decline. Yeah, running backs are when they get to a certain age they do decline. They talked about his 3.3 yards per average the year before. what people fail to mention when they mention that is the abysmal offensive line play that the Ravens had, the amount of sacks that the Ravens gave up that year as well. The fact that Ray Rice was the only bright spot in the offense that year, outside of the quarterback, Joe Flacco. You bring in the other guy the next year, but you also fixed your other line, your offensive line, and his name escapes me. He was the stopgap for 1 year, did a good job, ran for 1,000 yards. The little guy that never really got any opportunities anywhere else got a big opportunity there. That I think Ray Rice would have had a very similar season. The difference between him and Ray Rice is that he didn't beat up his girlfriend, now wife, the season before or the year before. So it really just is one of those things where with the NFL, you know, the hypocrisy sometimes in the things that they do, it is what it is. But like any other business, you just have to ingratiate yourself in the culture of that business because, you know, football is a privilege, not a right. And that's really what the situation is. And if anybody is learning that, Brother Rice is learning that the hard way right now.
Yeah, he is. And again, I agree it is a privilege. It's not a right. I agree that, you know, there have to be consequences for the actions and things like that. I also think that, again, the punishment should fit the crime. We have men in the NFL that have done some things that, you know, honestly, you look at it and be like, this guy's still playing. In Ray Rice's situation, domestic violence is a horrible thing. It was a horrible act. And you know, no one's going to make an excuse for it. There's no way to justify it. But the thing about him, and this is what I keep thinking when I think about the Ray Rice situation, he didn't make an excuse. He didn't look to justify it. He said, I made this mistake. I'm sorry for this mistake. And then he took it upon himself to do the things to make it right. And I heard people one time say that, well, the difference is the genuineness of the apology. You know, I believe that he was genuine. And again, I don't know him personally or anything like that, but I believe he was genuine because the young lady that the incident happened with, she stuck with him. They're married now. He's gone to counseling. He's working to make sure that other young men don't repeat his mistake. And he's doing all of this with a mind of, I may never play in the NFL again. And he's still doing it. Not doing it to say, look what I did, give me a job. He's doing it to say, young men, don't do what I did. Don't make my mistakes. Be smarter, be stronger, be better. That's someone that's genuine in his apology. So how does he not get another shot? That's the only thing that bothers me with this. How does this young man not get another shot to support his family, to play football, to live his dream, and be a bigger example to young men to say, I made the mistake, I did what I was supposed to do, I came back, and I'm standing.
I mean, and like you just said, man, it really is what it is. And, you know, again, it goes back to what I said before, that he had 3.3 yards a carry the year before, and the media presence or the media nightmare was not worth the lack of production. That's simply what it is. Anytime Greg Hardy, who just really didn't give a darn, you understand, he didn't give a flying bleep, you understand, right. But he came back in the league and didn't play well. And the only reason why he's not with a team right now is because of his shenanigans on the field and in the locker room, not for what he did or allegedly did to the young lady. So, I mean, it really is with the NFL, you know, what can you do for me? What have you done for me? And if you can still do it, then we'll still let you do it. And that's basically what it is.
That's all.
That's all. That's all. So we just went around the world of football, around the world of sports. We're going to take our last break before we get out of here. You're listening to the Brother to Brother podcast on the NSR Sports Network.
Level, then look no further. The National Sports Report and NSRFootball.com are proud to present NSR Sports Radio. Join your host, Coach P, as we break down the trending topics in the NFL, the NCAA, high school football, youth football, and beyond. Also joining us are former NFL quarterback Achilles Smith and Coach David Riley in our Ask the Duck segment. These two guys have over 25 years of football experience, and they are waiting to share it with you. Join all the action every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, only on the National Sports Report. Football news at every level.
Coach Lombardi, Coach Shula, Coach Landry, Coach Dave. Great coaches make us better players and better people. To become a better coach, visit usafootball.com, the official youth football partner of the NFL.
You said keep it PG-13? Okay, I got you. Yowza. Put Voice Sports up in your internet browser as Voice Sports Radio comes to you every Thursday night right here on the National Sports Report. That's right. Don't forget to download the podcast at www.nsrfootball.com. Call in tonight. That's right. 646-668-2526. Be a part of the hotline bling. Let's go.
GotInstrumentals.com.
Yes, and welcome back to the Brother to Brother podcast on the NSR Sports Network. I'm your host, Coach P, and we are rounding out the end of the show. And we're going to do a little something that we call Take It or Leave It, where we're going to basically talk about things that are going on in the world of sports. And we're going to talk whether or not we agree or disagree. And, of course, joining me on the Brother to Brother podcast is my brother from the same mother, Coach Robbie Preston, a man with great football knowledge, one of the best offensive minds in the business. My brother from the same mother, Coach Preston. Hey, Coach Preston, we really going to go into this thing real deep, man. Take it or leave it. Great things, some things going around in the league. And the first thing we're going to talk about is basketball. Yes, I said it, basketball. And we're going to talk about Kevin Durant. We know Kevin Durant is from Washington, D.C., our home where we were born and raised. In your opinion, man, would you like to see Kevin Durant come back? Are you going to take that, or are you going to leave that? Kevin Durant coming home to D.C.
I would love to take it. I would love to have him come home. I am a Wizards fan, but I'm going to have to leave it. There's no way the Wizards going to get him. There's no way he comes to Washington. I really see him staying at least in OKC for one more year, maybe signing a one-year deal or a one-year deal with an option and getting that big payday. I don't see a scenario where the Wizards will be able to get him.
And I'm inclined to agree. I'm going to leave that as well, although I would love to see him come to the Wizards. I just don't think they're going to have enough pieces to make that intriguing enough for him to go there. So we're going to leave that as well. Take it or leave it. The Cowboys are going to win the NFC East. Take it or leave it.
I'm going to take it. And I'm going to take my fan hat off for a minute, put my coach's hat on, and I'm going to say this. I think that the fact that they have Ezekiel Elliott, I think he's going to take some things off of Tony Romo's shoulders. I think he's going to free up some things when it comes to Dez Bryant. I think that he's a piece in the offense that's really going to help them. I know that they have 4 guys that are going to be missing defensively up front. I think that they're going to be able to survive the suspensions. I think they're going to be able to keep Romo healthy. So I'm taking it. I think this is a year where they really can. And let me say this, and again, coach's hat on, not fans hat, not hating on the Redskins. I don't think Kirk Cousins is as good as their last season record. I think that we're going to see him drop to earth this season.
I am also going to take that. And again, not just as a Cowboy fan. However, I do have a little bit more respect for the Redskins than you do. I think they are going to be our nemesis. I think the Giants wasted a lot of money and did not really take care of the issue that they really had, which was offensive line as far as veterans are concerned, really getting somebody there to keep their quarterback upright. I think they did a lot to that defense, but it's not going to be enough. The Cowboys are going to be able to pound them. I think the Eagles are going to be able to score points as well. I think the Redskins are going to be able to score points as well, although I do think that Kirk Cousins is going to decline just a bit. The Redskins scare me more than any other team in the NFC East, and that's just kind of where I'm coming from with that. Next thing in our Take It or Leave It segment is Take It or Leave It. Jared Goff will start opening day for the Rams.
You know, I'm going to take it. I think that they drafted him with the mindset of putting him in there right away. I think they have a dynamic running back behind him that makes it, even though he'll be in a starting position, you still can kind of bring him along slowly. You know, give him different things to learn from week to week, add more to the offense as he develops mentally. So I think day one, he's the starter.
I am also going to take that. Hey, man, we on a roll. You know what I'm saying? I don't remember the last time we agreed this much on anything, but we on a roll. I am also going to take that as well. I think Goff will be the starter. I think that's why they drafted him. You may as well go ahead and take your lumps right now. The guys you got behind him both are garbage 1 and garbage 2. So, I mean, it really is a situation where you can't do any worse. Let the young man take his lumps and be your guy of the future. He's a hometown guy, or not a hometown, home state guy anyway, so who's going to come in and I think be able to be the starter there. Although I would not have moved up. Number one, I wouldn't have given up anything. And I've been on record as saying this, Coach. I would have not given up anything to move up to get these two particular quarterbacks. I just don't think they were worth it. I think there was a lot of depth at other positions in the draft that you could have really helped your team out with and gotten a quarterback somewhere else or even later in the draft. I just believe that one of those guys is going to be a colossal bust and the other one is just going to be an average quarterback. And I'm not exactly sure. Flip a coin to see which one will be which. I really think it'll be interesting, but we'll see what happens with those guys as well. So what we just did was we just gave you our take it or leave it, you know, where, you know, we're going to go on a subject and talk about whether or not we agree or disagree. Coach Preston, it's been a great inaugural show. I mean, this just felt like home. It was just like one of our conversations on the phone where we talking about life, love, football, relationships. And normally we would have a relationship segment in this thing, but we're going to take our therapy hats off, man, and give you more sports on the first show. Coach Preston, you got anything for these people before we let them go?
And then just keep listening. Real excited about this show. Make sure you log on every week. I think it's going to be great, man. I'm excited. I can't wait for next week.
Absolutely. So for my brother from the same mother, Coach Preston, Coach Robbie Preston, the offensive coordinator at Eastern High School, speaker at the Glazier Clinics, just an all-around great football mind, and myself, Coach P. You've been listening to the Brother to Brother podcast, man. Check us out next week. We're going to have some great stuff for you, man. I promise, ladies, we didn't leave you guys out. We got something for you guys as well. You are listening to the Brother to Brother podcast on the NSR Sports Network, and we out of here.